Good morning. My name is Claudiu Oprea, and I'm a Romanian-born permaculture educator, artist, healer, and chef. And I'm here to talk to you about sort of creating sanctuary in response to climate change. And I'd just like to take a minute to just ground ourselves in place and kind of where we are in the world. So I'm on my ancestral land in Romania, in Eastern Europe, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome in the day and to root us in sort of an old archaic tradition, which is today is the first day of winter, proper winter. And following on from Theo's fabulous insight into magic and ritual, one of the rituals that was done at this time of year, particularly last night, is a ritual of purification of spirit. And it involves water, it involves a body of water and light and prayer. And so we're requesting for all these transitions into the dark, into the darker time of year, into a cold, dark winter where the days are shorter, is to remind us of seeking light and guidance, and to engage with these rituals of purification, especially from human evil. So this particular ritual that I did last night involved asking for protection against human evil, which I guess kind of makes sense because we are at this time of year now where we are entering our darkest self, our darkest sort of nature is inviting us to sit with the dark. And so out of that can emerge also our evil side. And so to protect ourselves, so I extend that ritual to you, to everyone who's watching and tuning in. And I'd like to offer gratitude for the ancestors, for my beautiful grandma, who is a white witch, herbal medicine woman, who has raised me with deep reverence for nature. I'd like to offer gratitude to the truth keepers of the East, and I'd like to offer gratitude to the wisdom keepers of the West, and the peacekeepers of the South, and the guardians of the North. So just take a minute and a breath to ground. So we're in Romania. We're about 50 kilometers away from the Bucegi Mountains. We're in the southwest of Romania, and we're in a really beautiful, magical part of the world. At the bottom of the land where I'm at, there is a river. So there's this beautiful richness. The spirit of the river is really a purifying, guiding force that's always guided me and helped me throughout my life. And so I'd like to honor and to give thanks to the river and to the forest that's breathing in beautiful healing air into my lungs, to sit and take in this beautiful space, which was my first ever sanctuary. This is where I was coming to visit from the local town, which is where I was born. And my grandma was, my first memory of life is sat in my grandma's lap with sunshine on her face. She's beaming back at me, this beautiful unconditional love, feeling like a soft cashmere glove. And we were picking linden flowers, and I was just mildly intoxicated by these beautiful terpenes, these beautiful scents, these gentle scents that are meant to soothe our minds and our hearts. So that was, it was rooted in this place. The idea of sanctuary for me, especially in response to change and this insanity that's happening with the world, is to find, first of all, a place within our bodies that's sanctuary. Like, how do we make our bodies, our homes, and our homes safe, happy places to be? And this has been part of my ongoing work, both personally and in what I bring to the world, is this sort of embodied sense of who we are. Especially as queer people, our identities are enmeshed with cultures that are oftentimes very oppressive, like being queer in Romania in the 80s when I was born was truly a crime. You could go to jail and suffer a lot. So there's no safety or feeling of being able to be authentically you in a culture, even in a family that's close-knit, that's loving. This idea of queerness or of other in terms of sexuality was just really very difficult to integrate. And so from experiencing this safe haven here with my gran and this connection to nature, I then went on to find myself outside of the norms of the culture that I was bound to. And so I went to the UK and spent a whole tumultuous 17 years there. And then after a really serious event, a heart attack when I was 35, I really stopped to think about, where is my healing coming from? Where can I access? Where are the places where I can be to heal? Who are the people? Where are the practices? Where are the aids? I was really lost, and so the idea of sanctuary again emerged as a theme, because I realized that healing can only happen in sanctuary, can only happen when I feel relaxed myself and in connection, in relationship, and be able to deal with what emerges as it does, without having a pill planned to sort this out. It's like, what is arising in my body that's informing me, that's telling me, that's allowing for my intuition to guide me to where I need to be. And so this strong, powerful intuition has taken me to India. And when I arrived committed to deepen my permaculture practice, which I had applied in London and at festivals around the UK, by setting up welfare systems, by feeding people clean organic food, and by doing body work and massage, creating harm reduction strategies. Yes, I do have some photos to share from Goa, but we'll wait for that. I'll just need to get there. Thank you very much for the reminder, Toad. Yeah, sanctuary in India. I ended up being a teacher at an alternative education center, teaching kids how to grow food and medicine and permaculture in a very applied, playful way. So when the virus hit, when Corona arrived in all her glory, I was at a school, and the school was just beginning to empty, and I was living at the school at the time, and we were on 2 acres of beautiful land, an old cashew grove. And And so the school was emptying and everyone was leaving, and it was a sense of panic, and the curfew was pretty strict in Goa when it first began. And so there was this kind of sense of overall panic. And I just remembered um, tuning into my body at that time and going, where do you want to be? Do you want to leave? Do you want to be here? Where is it that you feel like you can be supported during this time that is going to be really intense, and we have no idea what's going to come, but it just feels a little bit surreal. And so immediately I just got a sense of like, you need to be here and you'll be all right, because we've been growing a lot of food for the last 3 years with the kids, and there's so much abundance on this land. So it's just about waking up to again place in the generous abundance of place. And then fast forward a couple of months later, when I had decided to stay in India and write this thing out, this great sense of lack came from missing my people, missing my queer people, missing my queer family. And so just putting the intention out there on how to create a space where people can come and find each other. We can find each other. We can, that chosen family. That is also part of the idea of SanQtuary, is where does our soul feel right? Who are the people that we're attracting and connecting to in order to feel that sense of a family? And so the SanQtuary Goa appeared as an experimental arts and permaculture project, and Toad, I don't know if the photos that you may have, if the Atmos series is up or can be put up, I'll be happy to talk. Okay, so thank you very much. So the first image, this is a couple of months in. We're just starting to create our gardens. These are images taken for a feature on community in Atmos magazine, shot by Bharat Sika. Yes, so this is the entrance to this grand old lady home, this 120-year-old old Portuguese home, formerly a dog shelter that no one really wanted to rent out. So that's the first image, which is also quite interesting, because the choice of plants, we're talking about ritual, the yucca, the agave that's planted there, it's also used in ceremony a lot in indigenous cultures, and these plants are planted as the guardians around the entrances, around the graves of people, so kind of as guardians of souls. So this like beautiful big spiky plant at the front here. We can move along if that is okay. So that is the entrance to the SanQtuary, and that is a portrait of me a couple of months after moving in, and you can notice that the land around is pretty bare. There was not much growing there at the time. We can move on. This is one of the spaces inside the SanQtuary. So we used this space to socialize. I slept there for a few months. Other guests slept there. So we had 5 rooms that we organized, each with their own energy and feel, and they can be used by people either to rent, to stay, or to do various events, or just to chill out and hang out. But I just wanted to give you a sense of the space itself. We can move on to the next. And this is beautiful, Maria. So one of the many things that we did there, but one of the very important ones was the Into the Body series, and just this embodied approach to healing, just connecting to our bodies to see what is emerging, and to hold that in this beautiful space. Held also by beautiful people. Maria is a body-based therapist. She's an incredible friend, and was with me from the beginning of the creation of the sanctuary. Can get to the next. Here's another space and meditation space. Also, Maria used this space for a while. I used that space for a while and turned it into a sort of interactive art gallery towards the end. But yeah, just to give you a sense of, I guess, a felt sense of sanctuary and what it looked like as a physical body. Can move on to the next. Here is a photo of some of our group. We were down by the river, which was minutes away from where we were, and beautiful, beautiful, pristine jungle. And here we were in a perennial spring that runs year round, which is very rare to have in a dry tropical space like Goa. Great, thank you. And then I don't know if we can move on to, that's one of our beautiful friends, Esther, in their space. And I don't know if we've got the next set of photos.
I'm not sure we do, but I can try.
Okay, no, that's fine. So there were some after shots of sort of the sanctuary and the garden. So part of creating sanctuary was healing plants and access to food and medicine. And so we created a nursery with over 2,000 plants that filled that back and front space of the building. But it's absolutely fine if we can't find them. If people want to, if people, oh, here we are. So yeah, here we have some of the beautiful plants in pots. So we had a terrace. So it was quite difficult to create this feeling of forest. So we put everything in pots. So we have a fruit orchard in pots. We've got, and you can just if you just put them on sort of a slideshow mode, then I don't need to say next, and then I can just talk about what's happening there. That would be great. Thank you. Yeah, so there we have a little pond where the dogs and the monkeys love to drink from. And next. Here we have some peanut butter trees, and so you can just go next, and then I'll speak about what is happening. So there's some spice trees, and you can just see the way the space is transitioned. Everything there was edible and medicinal. So it's just to demonstrate what can happen, if you bring a group of people together who, believe in feeding ourselves. And it just begs the question, why aren't we normalizing this? Why aren't we normalizing getting together on a piece of land in a chosen family unit? So we don't even need to like each other so much. Obviously it helps, but just kind of putting our differences aside and going, how can we nurture each other? How can we plan for the future? But more importantly, how can we look after each other now and everything around us? So that's a loquat tree that I started from seed. And all these plants have been reincorporated in many different projects around Goa. As sadly, the sanctuary is dissolved 2 months ago at the physical location. So we transitioned into an online space where we can still connect over what is important to us and still offer access to a lot of therapists who are doing incredible work that are aligned with the queer community. Plant medicine, we were doing a lot of body work, a lot of massage, and different ways of releasing trauma from the body. Plant medicine was one of the ways in which we access this. Trauma healing permablitzes, so this connection to the land and just seeing how quickly there is this innate desire of land to thrive. And so if we help it out by putting the right elements in place, the magic just happens. And so I guess the sanctuary demonstrated that really, really quickly. So in just 9 months, we've just completely transformed the space and started repairing degraded land. I don't know how much time we've got left, whether we can transition into a sort of a Q&A soon. I feel I'm much better actually in dialogue and connection. I feel that magic happens in emergence, and sort of just me sort of sat looking at myself here freaks me out a little bit. But before I go into that space, I don't know if it's okay with you guys. I would like to just talk a little bit about the crown that I'm wearing today, which is made of birch bark, and there's some symbolism behind that. Birch represents protection and transition, and again, it's thank you. And again, it's just to remind us of the natural world and our deep connection to it. Our archaic societies were totally ordered around this deep connection and observation of the natural world. There was this incredible eco-literacy that was passed on orally through rite and ritual. And so at this point in the year, when the sort of the malefic forces are emerging with the darkness, with the winter, people would employ these beautiful plant allies to ward off evil spirits. And the lipstick that I'm wearing is a node to our ancestors, our queer ancestors, to the sex workers, to the first people who wore makeup to beautify themselves. And so, you know, as an act of revolutionary resistance. And it's only until maybe 100 years after, when, you know, when white imperialist ladies started to use it as makeup, it was started to be accepted. So this is a note to the first people in our cultures, in our ancestry, in our heritage that have used makeup. So yeah, and I'm gonna end here this part of the segment and say thank you so much.